Swahili Girl.
Hey beautiful people, this is Gilad aka Balozi wa Mapenzi, and I'm hanging out with the Boom Buzz Kenya team at Boom Play.
Yeah, straight, nice. So 2015.
2015. Wow.
You made your debut, at the Kenyan music scene, or let me just say you made your entry into music, and since then it has been an upward trend for you, winning the Afrima awards and all that, just building a name for yourself and the brand Gilad spreading out there. How's the journey been for you so far? How would you say the journey has been for you as an artist in Kenya?
Now getting to 5 years in music, which is it's a pretty big chunk of time. It's I don't say career, but it's a nice few years of being into something solid. I was just telling someone that from the beginning, first of all, it's been an amazing journey. You can't complain, but it's also very humbling, very, very, very humbling. You see how much is not really in your control. You see how you think that things will go one way, go another way. People have their own, what they want and what they prefer. They expect things from you. But I've most of all really had fun, enjoyed, learned a ton of things, and like I said, been brought down to human size.
Yeah, so before we get into your music, you went on in history as one of the few Kenyans, to bag an Afrima award.
Yeah.
Not just one,
Two.
but two.
Yeah.
Lagos, Nigeria. How was this experience for you? First of all, I'm sure when you went to Lagos, in Nigeria, you might have seen how those guys do things over there.
Yeah.
What do you feel makes those guys stand out, compared to us over here?
Nigeria has a big industry, and you could see it when you came to Afrima Awards and you're walking on the red carpet. There was 150, 200 cameras, and there was a lot of people, and you could see, I know her, I see Tiwa Savage, I see Fally Ipupa, I see, the people came together, very big industry, very powerful African industry. And Nigeria, 180 million people, man. It's like the power of the energy of the place, Lagos. You really feel in Lagos like you're small, in a very big place. Afrima was an incredible experience, very unexpected, because I got nominated for a song I wrote for my best friend's son who passed away at 8 years old, Angel Uriel. So it was really just a song that I wrote from heart, from my friend, feeling his pain and all that, and never thought, but I guess when you do things from a good motivation like that, sometimes the prize is a lot bigger than expected. So I got the real honor of representing Kenya at Afrima 2017. And as they read out the nominations, we sat there, my friend was with me, he came from outside the country for the awards. Akon was the host, honoring his son in front of the whole, who had just passed away. And they read the winner, and it was me, and it's one of those unbelievable, surreal moments when you're like, wow, this is really happening, and you're walking up there going, this is a real thing. And the minister from Ghana gave me the award. It was like really, 50 million people watching, as real as it gets, Then you run back they take you to the green room, do a quick interview, how did you feel? And you run back to your seat because you're up for a second award. Sure enough, I got there and they read the award, and, Nandi is sitting behind me from Tanzania, and she won an award that night, and then they read my name again, and you're like, oh my God, this is, and it was really that feeling of for Uriel, his son, and for Kenya, for Kenya. And you're walking there and somebody whispers after, you're the first Kenyan artist to ever win 2 awards. And I said, wow, that was incredible. And when I was walking in at the beginning on that red carpet, very few people knew me. It wasn't like, oh, we have to have an interview with you. When I walked out and I'm holding these 2 golden awards, like in the movies, all the media came at once, pose, pictures, It's like life went nuts in a second on a bigger scale than it already was crazy before.
Everyone was like, who is this guy?
Yeah. But then they knew, because you got 2 chances on stage to get the award. Everybody understood, who I was thanking. The media was there. And now they just stand with your awards and take pictures. The next thing you know, I saw a story in France, a story in Italy, a story in America, and because you're also the white part, and Swahili and Africa also plays a factor. You know, who's that white guy? Mzungu anaimba Kiswahili. You know, there's white guy singing in Swahili, and so that had an impact as well.
And speaking of Swahili, you're so great in Swahili, man. The way you write, the way you speak. You know, many people always wonder how did this Mzungu, you are Swahili.
You know, I never officially learned Kiswahili in class, like you know people here do in school, and they learn the ngelis and they learn all the vivumisi, vihusishi, and it's a very, people think it's an easy language. It's not an easy language. You have a million exceptions to every rule, and people do things differently. But I really got into it. I fell in love with the language right from the beginning when I came here years ago, and just learned from the streets, learned from friends, learned from work. I worked in a place, there was 360 people working. People would see me, you know, I would come back from Israel on vacation. Mr. Gilad, umepotelea wapi? You know, and then you'll find that word in another song I wrote, you know, later. So I really learned from Kenyans, and Kenyans are happy to teach. When they see that you want to learn, they'll offer you more. So they're very generous in that way. I'm still, you know, very critical of my own language. I could do a lot better, but I try.
Yeah. Let's go back to 2015. Your song Unajua with Wendy Kimani. You know, the song came out when I was in high school. And immediately I listened to the song and knew this is going to be a hit. And so far, you know, on YouTube, over 5 million streams.
Yeah.
This was the first song you gave us, right?
In Kenya, yeah.
In Kenya.
Yeah.
So when this song, you know, was playing all over, first of all, did you expect that reception of that song?
You know, I was at the time 45 years old, 44 years old, almost, working as a corporate executive for Amiran Agriculture Company, and I was singing for fun. I had stopped singing for almost 20 years. And I just went in to jam for fun with Calabash Band in a club and sing live music. Wendy joined the band, Wendy Kimani. And by that time, I was playing with Swahili covers. I was singing Alikiba, Kidum, stuff like that. And I wrote my own. I decided to try and, you know, give it a stab and write my own. But it was 1,000,000% for fun because I had no plans. Already at a certain age bracket, already working corporate, I'd been a diplomat, I had a life, you know, I had a son who was already in high school, and daughter, so never ever thought to go back to music in that way. And you know, that's the beauty of this whole story, of my own experience, is that I didn't write this, I didn't plan it, it wasn't something, it's a dream I left behind already. Kitambo, you know, really. So when we talk of Afrima and things like that later, but Wendy joined the band, and when I wrote Unajua, I came and offered it to her to come, you know, write with me. And we recorded, my first time actually in studio recording properly. And then I released it and sent it to all the famous people I had known through business. So I knew Jeff Koinange, I knew Caroline Mutoko, I knew Carol Radul, just famous Kenyans. And I sent it to them and said, hey, you know, I'm not only in agriculture, I also sing. And here's a song, see what you think. And it was Carol Radul who pushed it into a Kiss FM playlist, XFM playlist. And then I went to Israel with a delegation of ministers of agriculture for work. And I got a tweet from XFM, the fastest rising song on this week's weekly top 30, Unajua, up 12 spots. The truth is, I didn't even know there were charts. Okay, I didn't even know XFM had charts. People had told me they heard the song here and there, but by the time I got back from Israel, it was number 6, number 3, stayed at number 1 for like 7 weeks, total 3 months on the charts. When we released the video, I'm walking the bike, you know, in the ghetto, in Resambu where we filmed, and people saw, the first reaction was, "Huyu ni mzungu, this guy's white," you know? Everybody was blown away. The way they took it was unbelievable. All the media called for interviews. Suddenly I'm all over the place. Yeah, and I waited another 3 months, and I followed up with Sema Milele to make sure it wasn't like a one-hit wonder. And Sema Milele hit just as big, even some would say more. Became that wedding song, you know, and yeah, I didn't look back. I've not really looked back ever since.
Yeah, then it's been a journey. Then you give us an album, Asante.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want us to talk about your collaboration, man, because all the songs you've been part of, that great chemistry that comes between you and the guys you work with.
Yeah.
Not only you work with Gilad,
Yeah.
Asante.
Yeah.
mad chemistry over
Yeah.
there. Naiboy, Dela, Tanzania, Asma Mkono,
Yeah.
Soul, and now you hear Swahili Girl with Eliad.
Eliad. You know, I really enjoy collaboration, okay? Because, okay, you're not alone. And somebody else is bringing something else to the song. And every artist has something. I mean, Asma, I was featured in his song. Madini Classic, I was featured in his song. And you get to work with artists of a certain style, vibe. One's a rapper, one's one of these more bongo flavor type singers. Wendy and Della, Wendy is huge voice and passion and energy. Della is a lioness in the studio. She knows, she has experience much more than I do. So when we get to work on Nakuahidi, she turns the song upside down and makes it something that I, in the middle of the night in the studio, was like, okay, where's this going? And eventually we won a Best Duet Award for the song, you know, and massive kudos to Della for something like that, you know. So I mean, collabing, the other artists bring something and you play a game of ping pong. You push, they push, each one brings themselves. And if you can find that right chemistry, if you can connect, it can take a song to highest levels. My most successful songs have mostly been the collabs. And even now, you know, I'm like you said, building over time from Della to Wendy, Naiboy, of course, we did last year, which was really amazing experience because he's a star. He's like he's working with the real thing, you know, and he brings all that to the table when you work with him. And now Eliad. I mean, Eliad is Israel's. He's top 5, I think, in Israel. Millions of views, streams, all the things that you can possibly imagine. Mega star. And we didn't know each other when we were introduced for the song. A friend of mine, a producer, an Israeli producer, said, if you would do a song with an Israeli, who would it be with? And I said, you know, I've been in Kenya 15 years. I'm disconnected. I don't follow so much. But when I was on vacation in Israel, I heard this song repeat. So I sang him the song. He said, oh, sure, Eliad. Everybody knows him. I know him. And he called Eliad, told him my story. It was just before Afrima. And, you know, he said yes. And I had taken my son to New York. He was going to Berklee College of Music. So I was in New York staying there. And Eliad lives in Israel, in Bat Yam, and he's in his apartment. And we get on a call and we do a 6-hour WhatsApp call, like video. And he's sitting on the other side with the guitar. I'm sitting there, you know, in the apartment with a laptop and writing lyrics and pen and paper and stuff like that. And I was already vibing on Swahili Girl, kind of message, idea, mixing the love, the language, and he just jumped on the song. 6 hours later, true story, we were 90% of the way there, maybe a bit less, but a lot. We had a whole structure, beginning, middle, and end, lyrics, powerful lyrics, great vibe. And Eliad went into studio with Ceylon, who's a huge producer in Israel, and they laid down the first version of the track. I came, I don't know, a few months later to Israel, and we recorded my vocals, his vocals, and the song was done. It's been done for almost 2 years. And yeah, the song has been there for a long time. Eliad's a really busy performer. I've been busy here, and we could never coordinate the schedules to get him to come here and make the music video the way we wanted. Swahili Girl, we had a whole vision of it. Maybe someday we'll still make it. But for now, we're counting on Boomplay's streaming services, because what you get is an audio, which for me, being old school, I really like that, because you either connect to the song as an audio or, so that's, you know, that's God's plan. But Eliad was planned to come, and then when COVID happened, we realized there's just no way in any time future that he's going to get and come here and do what we had planned. And then I said, you know what, let's just give the people the song. I really want to share this. It's been with us for long. I'm arguing and I'm hoping to get people's crazy reception on this, because this is one of the best songs I've ever released. And the duet factor of us together came out, like we talked chemistry, it's on another level. So, and Eliad is an amazing, amazing musician. So I'm really excited for people to hear this, and it's going to be debuting here on Boomplay.
Nice. So, on the international scene now, you have Eliad on board. Yeah, before Eliad, you had Miri Ben Ari.
Yeah.
How did you get her? A Grammy award-winning act.
Miri Ben Ari and I have a lot of history. We go back to the days when I was working as an Israeli diplomat in Los Angeles. And she came to LA and we met with her manager and we had a whole idea plan that actually didn't happen, but we stayed in touch and we got really close as friends, like for years, really close as friends. She's very strongly connected to Africa. She just did Afro Strings and launched a song here. So she's very out there. She loves Africa. She won her Grammy for a song, Jesus Walks with Kanye West. She's performed with, really, she's done it all, yeah? And Miri's an icon. And I always knew when music started, about 3 songs, after Salama and Rangia Bahari, you start dreaming bigger. So Miri's my Grammy Award-winning friend, yeah? So at some point, I started, tossing at her, when are we gonna do a song, when are we gonna do a song? And then the same time, I started writing. I was in the coast. I wrote Say Na Na Na, Uimbo ni wako, nilikuandikia, but you're too far. Just a love song, and I really thought it had like a vibe. I sent it to Miri, and Miri comes back and she just said yes, straight out. She ended up being producing the song because she's also a producer. So she laid down her violin, which is insane on the song, on Say Na Na Na, and she produced the song. And then we launched it here. Again, I think we were wanting her to come to Kenya. It didn't work out. She had a big concert tour in Canada. Coordinating schedules at this level is really tough. But we launched it here. It got a great reception. And, another small first for me as the first Kenyan to collaborate with a Grammy Award winner. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So
now I just need a Grammy of my own, really.
I want to tell you that. It's time for you to go for a Grammy now.
Lupita said your dreams are valid, yeah? I'll tell you the truth. I don't dream of awards. I dream, if you ask me what is my biggest dream, I dream of the songs being heard on a biggest possible scale. So when you get to a song like Swahili Girl, you understand that the potential is, the song has a global vibe to it. It with a bit of luck and God's planning, and we plan and God smiles, so we don't know what the real plan is for us. And I accept everything, the way it comes. But my dreams, my cut dreams, is to get to the point where the music is heard beyond Kenya. The way it happened with Angel Uriel. Angel Uriel, when we won the Afrima, it went to France, it went to Israel, it went in different places, and suddenly people were talking about Kenyan music. So I'm proud to represent that, to the world. And I'm proud to represent Kenyan culture as much as I've embraced it and adopted it to the world from my perspective, from my point of view as Gilad. An Israeli, a Jew, a white man living in Kenya. It's a whole mix of stuff. My age, which is not your average young musician who just broke out. Even though Santana started at 50, so I'm good to go, But the truth is how the world can see and understand Kenya from a different perspective, because there's a lot of ignorance towards Africa in general. When you tell people Kenya, you've seen all the memes, TikTok and stuff like that, how people joke. People really don't know what we're about here. And most people who come here, friends of mine, visitors, who embrace with culture, meet the band, hang out, they're blown away by the life we live here. It's not at all what people expected. Kenyans are cool. And Kenyans are hype, and they vibe, and they have energy, and they have amazing souls. And so when foreigners come here, they're like, oh, I thought I would get some, Africa movie. It's not. It's actually much cooler than that.
Yeah. So let's talk about your songs, your songwriting and your lyrical ability. When someone listens to your songs, even if it's for the first time, they'll always have to get something stuck on
a message.
Like your last song, Mawingu Chanku.
Yeah.
Like, what inspired your creativity? You're thinking.
The vibe of the day, whatever I'm thinking of at the same day. It's very timely. Some of the songs are inventions of how I think someone would feel in a certain situation. Other songs are as deep as they can come from inside me. Kamasema Milele, which I wrote for my wife on our wedding anniversary as a gift. It was very clear what I was doing. Rangia Bahari, where I stood in front of the ocean in Diani Beach in Kenya and just wrote a song which was for the vibe, sitting there with the guitar. It really depends. Mawingu, we were in COVID times already, and people were locked down, and so Baby Come Home, and the food, chakula kiko tayari kwenye meza, food is ready on the table, and you're not here. So that kind of feeling, it was a bit darker, I think, in terms of the lyrics than my usual kind of upbeat, optimistic It was a bit more, even the poster was cloudy and kind of dark, because that's what I was feeling at the time. We were locked in, 7 p.m. curfew and no good news on the horizon in this 2020 year. So maybe, it came out a bit in the song, but as much as it's dark-ish, it's also very upbeat and energetic. Yeah.
But speaking of curfew and lockdown, how has it been for you during the past few months?
It's been, none of us have ever experienced anything like this, lived through anything like this. We are living in times which will go down in history as whatever, It's been the worst year in so many ways. Some people reinvented themselves, some people, found themselves, reinvented, like literally. I kind of started a bit of farming. I did that because, look, there's the livelihood that I was depending on, which was performances, and went dead. There's no live shows, which was the biggest income. Most of the corporates who were doing endorsements and stuff like that held back their money. And that's true of all of us, pretty much everybody in the industry. Other work that I was doing, which is I have a PR company, that's my passion too, but all clients pretty much backed off of campaigns at this point. So suddenly you've got this vacuum of, how am I going to make an income? None of us is rich to the point where you don't need to still focus on work. So, where am I going to make my money? And that was the big worry for many. Also, how do I fill my time? The positive side of it was my wife and daughter and I got super, super close because we've become like this unit at home and we're together every evening and we're either watching TV or dinner or whatever, but family came like this now. My son's in the army in Israel, unfortunately, same opposite. We can't even see him since he joined in December. We haven't been able to go back and he can't come here, so we haven't seen him actually since he joined the army. So weird times. It did catch me on the creative side. It took me a little bit at the beginning to get started, but then I found myself at home, guitar in hand, like the good old days, just writing song after song after song. So Mawingu was the first release off of this new period. Swahili Girl, like I said, is a song we've been waiting to release, but there's a whole bunch of others which are already recorded. So I used my time. I wrote and went into studio, and that happened right in the first kind of month of COVID. Managed to whip off, one music video for Mawingu, and that's about it. And but I try to keep busy. I've put on some kgs for lack of moving around enough at the beginning, especially. We were at home just eating. But I really hope. I don't think we're going back to life as it was. I think we're going to some kind of what they're calling this new normal. I'm curious to see what exactly it will look like when we get a mix of open and close. Kenya is relatively lucky because, like in Israel, they locked down kabisa. People were in the house not just from 7 p.m., locked. And jobs and the economy is really suffering. Here we are suffering and it's getting worse, but they didn't never lock us down the whole time, so we kept being outside and moving around at least and keeping busy, which I think is important as we go into whatever the future holds.
I guess we should expect a COVID album from you.
I don't know what we'll end up calling it at the end. I do different from people. Instead of releasing all new songs on an album, I get to finished enough songs and I'll tie them together and now I'll call it an album. So whenever I lock down the second album, of course it'll have all of these songs, but for truth right now I'm just kind of playing it by ear. I have a plan, for every kind of 2 months or so to release a song and just keep sharing. I wrote some really music I'm proud of, I'm happy with. I love the vibe it came out. It's a bit of a different side of me. Swahili Girl is the first, and then we just keep going, song by song and see how people enjoy the music.
Okay. So despite all the big collaborations you've had, which is that collaboration you still look forward to? Just like you look forward to having a Grammy?
Like I said, Grammy is an award. If we get there, we'll get there. A collaboration on a Kenyan level that I really, really have always wanted to do is Nyashinski. I have a crazy respect for the way he makes music. We had a chance to perform together back in 2016 when I produced Westgate Live, the show, and it was Nameless, Nyashinski and me, and he had just come back from the States. He had just released Now You Know, And I didn't even, I mean, I knew him because I had been here for many years, so I knew Kleptomaniacs. But when you meet the guy up close and personal, and over the years, especially last year since he got back, I've seen him on stage, and even his last album, Lucky You, and the way he did the first live show. He is that pioneer here, and he is that giant here. And I always knew inside that when the day comes, and if I'm lucky enough to get to do a song together, I think we'd bring something very unique. On the international, global level, I don't even know. I mean, I would love to do Alicia Keys maybe, or if I had my choice of dreams, it would be somebody with a big voice and a strong message, something like that, musician.
Okay.
Beyonce. No, I'm kidding.
Lion King.
Yeah.
So, what's the biggest misconception? What's the biggest misconception that people have about Gilad?
The biggest misconception. The biggest misconception, I think, is that everybody thinks I'm rich. Everybody thinks.
Say that.
Yeah, everybody who saw me, especially at the beginning, maybe it's a Mzungu thing, maybe it's a foreigner thing, but everybody accepted me as this guy who's rich right from the beginning. And the truth is, I come from a family of civil servant. My father was an Israeli diplomat. Government people in Israel don't make good money. It's not a good salary. It's actually on the very lower end, and often there are strikes and stuff like that. So I grew up in a family like that, and then later I was that myself as a diplomat. So I never accumulated any big money growing up. When I came here to work for Amiran as an expatriate, was the first time I ever saw a decent salary, something that you consider decent, and that lasted a few years. And while you're there, as an expatriate, they take care of everything. So your house and your school, everything's paid for. But when that stops and you go off on your own, then you're on your own. And if you didn't save, wow, which I didn't. So the truth is, I drive a pretty average car, and I live in a pretty nice place. And I'm also not I don't come from bling bling, and it's not my style. I think even if I were, to get to a really cool car that I want, I don't think you'd be seeing it on not that I'm criticizing anybody, but it's not hey, look at me, what I'm driving. I'd love to have a good car so that I can feel like I'm in business class when I'm driving the car. But it's not for the sake of showing you, I wrote Kawaida Guy, you can find it on Boomplay. And it really kind of was my statement about, as much as people think celeb, I'm happy that I stayed exactly who I am. I don't answer to anybody. I don't apologize to anybody. I don't say, oh, wow, I wish I had this. And I don't show you things I don't have. This is me, for better or worse. You also get to a certain age where you're this is what you're gonna get. Yeah, and I'm confident in my own skin, and I love my family, and I love the life that God has given me, but I don't find any reason to come and say, look at who I am, this is what I am, check my fancy watch, check my fancy car. Life is much bigger and more interesting and more fun than that. And like I said, not to criticize anybody. Everybody has their own, I come from PR. Everybody has their own image, everybody has their own style, their own message, and if it works for you, do it. Yeah, and if your fans are in the millions, then who am I to tell you that you should or shouldn't? For me, that's what works.
What do you wish you knew long ago before you joined music?
I wish I would have known. Again, I would take it to money, which is, if I would have known how the industry is not actually, you're gonna be, it always in people's heads, if you're famous, you'll be rich. It's not true. It's not true. Kenya has a lot of famous people who are far from rich and struggling, and it's true in the world in general. There's a cliche, you can't make money from music. So you can, today you can. There's streaming and there's apps and there's all kinds of stuff, but a good lawyer makes more money in Kenya, in Nairobi, than a musician, okay? So while we're flush, the real numbers, they're in real estate and they're in business and they're in stuff like that. So if I would have been more aware of that, I would have kept myself more involved in business in the last few years. Now I'm back, I'm full working, I really enjoy work. I'm like that kind of old school person who just let me wake up in the morning and go to work, and do. But I did spend a couple of years thinking, well, now that I'm doing music, I don't need to do anything else, and financially that's not true.
Okay. Next, but if somebody came to you right now, Gilad,
I'm the biggest Sauti Soul fan. Okay, I've been a massive fan from the beginning. If you look at my posts when they live and die in Africa, I bought the album with my own money and posted it. I love Bien in terms of the guy is on another level as a musician. Polycarp produced 2 of my songs, One Wish and Mapenzi. So my son was in studio with Polycarp playing guitar. They're both guitar players. Polycarp plays guitar on Fire in one of my songs. Savara and Shimano were buddies. Every time we meet, it's hello. They've always given me a very warm embrace. In 2016 in Gilad Live, Sauti Soul was on stage at my concert, and they honored me by getting on stage, and we sang Nerea together, which was their big song at the time. I have massive respect for where they've taken Kenyan music. Nobody has done it more, and the levels that they keep breaking the ceiling on their own ceiling. And if Sauti Soul said, let's do a song together, in a second, I could also jump on any one of the songs that they've already released and happily cover it. I really enjoy I think on my spot, the one who gives them the most Spotify money is me, by having their songs on repeat. Okay. Sure, wait, I can't say Spotify. Boomplay.
Thank you. Okay, what's your favorite Kenyan meal?
Nyama choma na ugali na madondo, I'm that kind of eat with your hands, eat, as much as you can. Kenyan food is great. Kenyaji chicken is great.
Unajua, I saw you take
ugali na madondo. Yeah, maragwe. Yeah. First of all, it's what she had. If she would have had sukuma, I might have been eating that. I don't know how planned it was. But for sure, the ugali scene was the most planned scene in Unajua. It was my plant. It's something from day one I knew I wanted to do, because ugali is Kenya. Food is a culture, okay? Language is a culture, and food is a culture, and music is a culture. So I've connected at language, I've connected at music, and food, of course. Now the beautiful part of this is I love Kenyan food. Anybody who knows me, I'm the first to get in line. I'm the first, with Heart the Band, we're very, very close. And I used to go over to their place and we'd sit down, and the first time I came, there was a girl there who was cooking, and she offered me a separate plate while everybody was about to sit on the floor and dig in. And I said, Connie, what's wrong with my hands? I'm not, and I'm, when we say the prayer, and the first to jump into the middle of the plate is me. I'm like that. So, and I really enjoy the food here. So that connection to ugali, we eat at home ugali a lot. Yeah.
Are you a sporty guy?
Up until recently, yes. Gym, working out, stuff like that. I was working out for quite a few months before. I dive. I'm a very beach person. So anything to do with swimming and beach and outdoor and ocean and things like that. Love that. Yeah, I played some football in high school. Played, here and there. Not, never enough to be Wanyama, or anything like that. But, I like ocean sports. I like the outdoors.
Okay, let's talk about your family. You show so much love to your son. The other day...
So much that sometimes his sister complains.
The other day he completed his training,
Yeah, Red Beret.
Red Beret, the Israeli army. And how was this for you? How was it for you as a parent? Seeing your son going to the army, because most of us, our parents are like, no, you want to go there? No, you will die.
I'm really proud of my kids, okay? I'm proud of the human beings they've become. They are people, they have hearts, souls. My daughter has a huge heart. She's beautiful, she's incredible, she's my best friend, and we're that personality. We're very same in personality. She's like mini-me, and we get along great. My son, at every stage of his progress, he's blown my mind in terms of his ability to achieve while remaining so humble. So he got accepted to Berkeley, which is the best music school in the world. And he went there for a year and a half until he decided he wanted to go back to Israel. But as a musician, and he's a guitar player, it's not like singing and writing lyrics, it's mastering an instrument.
Can also produce.
He also learned to produce while he was there, yeah. So I mean, he's featured on Angel Uriel, which won the Afrima, so he's an Afrima award winner twice as well. He plays on One Wish, he plays on Kawaida Guy. He's guided and give me feedback on songs regularly. I would come from studio, what do you think? And he give it to me point blank range. This is what I think, hard, right in your face, you know? Probably the most honest feedback I'll get on my music is my son and my wife. And then when he decided to go to the army, that's a big deal because he's doing it by himself, and Israelis really respect that. They respect Israelis who leave families wherever they are across the world and come to Israel to serve alone. So the soldiers themselves get a massive respect from people. And not only did he come and do that, he said, if I'm going to go, I'm going all in. So he went and aimed for paratroopers. Paratroopers in Israel is the legends, you know, the ones who make the Israeli army famous for what it is and all that. So he went and did that, and he completed basic training, and we saw from here, we can't visit him, but we see, you know, we're on WhatsApp every night and stuff like that, and you see how really, really, really hard what they do. The kind of training is insane. Talk about making you a man. It's another level, yeah? From so many different hardships and physically and all that. And then what I posted recently, I got a lot of love on my post for him here in Kenya because he shows love to Kenya. And they have, to get the red beret, which is the symbol of the paratroopers, you have to do a 45 night kilometer march, carrying stretchers, full armor, full everything. It's extremely, extremely hard. Not that I would know, but I mean, from what I see. And he chose to do that march with the Kenyan scarf around him. That was 100% him. We didn't know it was coming. And when I posted it, you know, it went trending here on Facebook. People shared like a gazillion times because, I mean, people know him. He's been with me on TV. He's been with me on stages. We've performed in all the big shows together. He was at live at City Hall. He was on stage with us, all the big shows. He's been with me at least more than once on TV. So, I mean, people have now known him and watched him kind of grow up. A while ago, one of the blogs did this big, all his pictures rated off of Facebook. You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And he's a really handsome guy, so that also works for him. And so, I mean, the pride as a parent is amazing. The happiness as a parent that he's doing what he wants to do and that he's doing it well and that he's succeeding. You know, even if he doesn't, we're here. But the fact that, you know, you see your son aim for something or your daughter and succeed, best feeling in the world, you know, because you live through them, you know, at a certain part, you start living their lives. You want things to work for them. That's why you worry also as a parent, yeah? But, I mean, they're incredible. He's incredible.
Actually, many people, going through the comments, many people are so happy for you. Many people are actually looking up to you and your family. And also some experience.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, which life do you love most? Do you love Gilad the diplomat or Gilad the artist now?
It's, you know, first of all, Gilad is Gilad, whatever. I mean, even when I was a diplomat, you do things with your own style. Some diplomats sit at a desk and they're quiet, and I was very visible, vocal, always on TV, doing PR, media, singing. I sang at a big conference, UN conference, and you know, they brought me on stage. So some diplomat invited me and I ended up singing. So I mean, I always stayed my own semi-clown, you know, outgoing. I'm not like an introvert. I'm out there, and I've always been, no matter what the job, yeah? I really love singing, and I really love connecting with the crowd when you're singing on stage, and I really love when people hear a song and they feel it, and it hits them in the right place with the right message, the way I want it or more. So I mean, I'm happy for life, and you know, there's still a long way to go. We'll see where we evolve to next and where we go to next. You know, I still have my my aspirations to receive my Kenyan citizenship, which is something I've been waiting for a long time. That's a big thing for me that I really want, so that I can have that official stamp that not just the people, because people have accepted me. I get a lot of love. I'm far from complaining. It's actually amazing and overwhelming. But to get that official stamp would be really cool. Yeah, and just seeing what else life has to offer. I really believe that, you know, when things happen like they did with me in such an unexpected, crazy way, then there's a God's hand is there, and there's a God's bigger plan here for each individual. So, to see how it unfolds, to see maybe this was just setting the stage for something else I'm supposed to do. I don't know, So just to flow with that and see what comes.
Okay. So your parting shot, I want to aspiring musicians would like to be like you in future. I want to the Kenyan youth, I want to the Kenyan people during these hard times. What do you have for them?
I think Kenyan youth are the most incredible generation to ever grow up here because they have at their disposal things that never existed in Africa at all before. Africa jumped a whole phase and suddenly we all have a mobile phone. So the ability to not be anonymous and to say something and to be, a bit more, it's there. And it's the ability to even compete on a global level. We tend to not believe in ourselves enough here. And that's something that I always try to work. I work a lot with youth. So for me, that empowerment, that believe in yourself, that even ask anybody who works with me, whether it's Amiran back in the day, the band, PAs, assistants, it's always do it. I trust you. Trust yourself, So for Kenyan youth really to not be so afraid to try, to get out there, to make a statement, to do more, to compete on a global level because online, you are where you are. So you do have a footprint online and that changes everything. It changes the game. To have confidence in where you come from and in the strength and power of your roots. People are brought up here in a way that's very different from the West. And it gives them a strength that they don't appreciate that they have. There's a lot of family here. There's a lot of warmth as a culture. Very, 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 very amazing sense of humor. Kenyans have a great sense of humor. What's more important in life than being able to laugh at yourself, laugh at others? So that's very positive energy, yeah? You see how many great comedians we have, successful, stuff like that. And just as individuals, when it comes to being online and memes and things like that, we're awesome at stuff like that, So to really appreciate what we have and what we can do and to not want to be what they are, but to make them look here and want to be what we are here because what we are here is really amazing. It's harder to see that when you live in a harder economic reality. But the truth is that the West is a bit stuck in all their fancy buildings and fancy cars and look what's happened to the West with COVID, they're lost. Whereas here, when you don't have, then having a bit less is still something you can be strong about. So people here have taken things in a very strong stride, positive attitude. Like I said, I really love the personality of Kenyans. I like the humility. I like that Kenyans, aspire to always do better and be better. And when we have our problems, I'm not going to blow sunshine and say, we're all wonderful. But we definitely have a lot more here than we think. That goes for the youth. It goes for people, for everybody who's, having a hard time with COVID. Hang on, believe that there's a bigger plan here. Understand that we're all like little ants in a bigger picture. And I do believe things will get better and soon. And I send all my energy and love to everybody who's watching and appreciate everybody who's listening to my music, enjoying it. And right now, Swahili Girl is what we're bringing you. And we really hope you enjoy it and can't wait for everybody to hear the song.